So what I would recommend then is saying, we're going to say it's a -1. How do I know what the interval name should be? You have to take the inverse. 12 minus 1 would be 11, and I know 11 would be a major 7. So I would suggest adding that in your mental framework. The major 7 could go up 11, or it can go -1. And I would say that when I say the interval, it's a -1 note away, major third, right? If I go -2 back, 12 minus 2 would be 10 forward. So instead of calling it a negative, second half step backwards scale degree, which we don't know, and most people don't really do that, I'd have to say something like it's a negative, it's a negative minor 7, right? Because it would be a minor 7 going forward. A -2 minor 7 gives me the directionality, gives me the flavor that it's a minor 7, but it tells me where I'm measuring from, right? I'm measuring from the higher pitched note to the lower pitched note, not from the lower pitched note to the higher pitched note, right? So like in other words, if I went from this Ionian back to this Locrian, I could say, well, that interval's like the Locrian to the Ionian, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to go from the Ionian back to the Locrian. So right, it's not a 1 note away from the Ionian. It's an 11 note away if I was to go forward clockwise. Sorry, it's not a 1 note away from the Locrian. It's an 11 note away if I was to go to the right around the circle from the Ionian, or it's 1 note back, from the Ionian, because I'm measuring from this point. I'm not measuring from this point. So that's where the problems come in. Now, so that's going to be the idea. We want to figure out then, using the current system, how can we add directionality? I think the best way to do it is to figure out the inverse distance and then the interval name for it, and then just name it will be a -3rd, in this case, major 6, right? So that means the major 6 could be forward 9 or backwards 3. So then we can just extend that idea. If we start to use that idea, then we can extend that back over past an octave in the same way we did before. How do we deal with if I go -12 steps backwards? Now I've gone past an octave. So now we're going an octave backwards. So if you add the notes, then it doesn't become a problem. If you don't say the notes, it becomes a problem because you don't have scale degrees, right? There's nothing, I don't even know how exactly what the textbooks are going to even have a problem with that, right? Because it's like, there's no scale degrees. So how do I go backwards, past an octave? You can't have compound negative intervals because there is no negative scale degrees that most people use. So what do I recommend doing? I would say then you want to add a negative notes. So it'd be a -12 perfect first. So in other words, if I went back here, 12 from let's just keep on working from here. I'd like to have one all the way on the thing, but if I went from here back 12, it would be -5 if I go up 1, -10, 11, 12. So -5, -10, 11, 12 in the negative direction, right? So that's going to be, or I can say it's a 0 if I stayed on the same note, and then a -12 octave, plus a -12 or minus a 12, however you want to see it. Let's see the next one up, which might make it a little bit clearer. So we're going to say, because the octaves sometimes are a little bit funny of an example. If I go -13 back, how would I figure that out? So if I go -13 back from here, let's go from here and say it's 5. I'm going lower in pitch, which is up high towards the ceiling when I go on the guitar. So it would be 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I would normally call that an IN, modal range, right? But we're going in the counterclockwise direction from the Ionian node. So if it's 13 back, how would I figure that? Well, I want to get the local distance, which would be under 12. So it would be 13 minus 12 would be -1 back. And then -1 back would be here, right? -1 minus 12 would be 11 forward. So if I went 11 forward from this point, like if I was right here and I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, we get to here. So that would be 11 forward to the Locrian is going to be equal to 1 back. So that means the minor 7 could be going 11 forward, or minor 7 could be 1 back, or it could be any interval of 1 back. So I would call this a -1 minus 12, or -1 minus another octave in the negative direction, right? And so that's going to be a -13 minor 7. So that gives us the flavor, and then this gives us the directionality as well as the actual distance, showing that it's over an octave. So that means on a guitar, I can differentiate then going from this Ionian. I'm not just going to call it a major 7, right? If I went here to here, that's a major 7. Most people will also say that if you go here back to here, then that's going to be a major 7. But now I'm going in the negative direction, right? So I have to somehow deal with that directionality problem. Most people just use on the guitar shapes, and they just kind of memorize the shape. But then you're kind of losing the idea of what's actually happening from a directionality standpoint. All right, let's try another one. We're going to go just go back, and then say we go back 14. So if we go -14 back, this would be from a minor. Let's go from the Aeolian this time. We're going to go -14 back. So that's over 12 in the negative direction. So I went over an octave in the negative direction. So I'm going to say 14 minus 12 is 4 minus 2, which would be equivalent to going -2 back. That gets me to here, right? That would be like going -2 back. If I went -2 back, how many steps clockwise would I have to go to get to the same spot? 12 minus 2 would be 10 forward. That means we're looking at a 10 note away minor 7, could also be a -2 minor 7. So we're looking at a minor 7 distance. So I would say it's a -2 minus an octave, -2 minus another 12, or -14 minor 7. So that means if I went back, so really if I went back from here back 2, it'd be 1, 2. That would be an AX modal range. But now I want to go back 14. So maybe I can go 5 up here, because there's distance of 5 between the strings in the negative or lower pitch direction. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Right? So both of these could be called a minor 7, as could be going, in the forward direction, right? Like right here. But this would be going up 10. This would be going back 2. Both of them have a minor 7 from the perspective of the Aeolian, but this is -2 back minor 7. This is up forward 10 minor 7. And this is -2 minus an octave, or minus another 12 minor 7, right? So those, we have to somehow get that straight in our mind, which it seems like is not as easy as you would think. So let's go back another one. We have -15. So if I go back -15, then what would be the local distance? 15 minus 12 is 5 minus 2, 5, 4, 3. So it would be a -3 back. If I went -3 back, what in the counterclockwise direction, what would be the clockwise direction to get me in the same spot if I think about it as a racetrack? There's 12 degrees, or 12 steps, so 12 minus 3 would be 9. And then I have to know that 9 forward would be a major 6. So that means that the major 6 could be 9 forward or -3 backwards. So, and it could also be -3 minus an octave, or -3 minus 12, or -15 backwards. So if I was on like this Ionian, then we can say, okay, I can go backwards 3, 1, 2, 3. That would get me to the Aeolian. So that's going to be a minor 6. I could go forward 9. So that would be like I can go 5, and this would be 10 up here because of the fault line, and then back to 9. That would be a 9 note away minor 6. This would be a -3 minor 6, but I want to go a -15 major 6, not a minor 6, major 6. So that would be, I could go between each string, where did my cursor go? My cursor got lost. There it is. So I can go 5, 10, and then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. See, so all of these are going from the Ionian node to the Aeolian node. We can call that always like a major 6, which is what most guitars do. We just start to learn that shape as a major 6, but then we don't really know how to count it. Or if we do, we can only count going upwards, right? When we start to go in the negative direction, it becomes a problem. And even if we figure that out, when we go in the negative direction and we go beyond an octave, it becomes a problem because most people don't say the notes, and we don't even have scale degrees. Even if you knew what a compound interval was, you can't really say a compound interval going backwards because nobody really uses negative scale degrees. So I would recommend that we're gonna use my solution is to say the notes that you're traveling, and that will give you powers that you have beyond what you've ever known before. So what if we go back 16? So if I go back 16, the local distance would be 16 minus 12, or 6 minus 2, which would be 4, negative 4. If I went back 4, then counterclockwise, what would be the clockwise distance on a racetrack or around the block? 12 minus 4 would be 8. And I have to know that 8 would be a minor 6. Therefore, I can either go forward 8 to be a minor 6, or backwards 4 to be a minor 6, or I could go backwards 4 plus an octave, or minus 12, right? Or backwards 16, a negative 16 minor 6.